Welcome, everybody. If you're curious about, first of all, who we are and what we're talking about, welcome to the More Momentum Power Session today. I'm Coach Bill Hart. I hope that we know each other virtually, if not like actually. And I want you to meet my friend and client for, we think, about 10 years, Keith Collins.
Long time.
Keith hangs out in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm in Southern California. And yeah, we've had a journey together, man. It's, it's so fun to think back about the like the events. The first time, one of the very first times Jocko was on stage was an event that you hosted in Sacramento, and I got to share the stage with him. Well, he and Leif, it was pretty rough. It was like, here we were when we were Navy SEALs, and here's a lesson, and now they're super polished. So anyway, Keith and I go back a ways, and we were just talking about Brian LaFlame as somebody to watch, you guys, on social.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good guy to follow. Keith is always one of my first mentions of someone to follow on social. And Keith, your content is always just solid, and you do such a great job with it. It's true, man. I mentioned you, Denise Donahue, Dan Keller.
Adventure
I think
Lender.
Brian LaFlame is a good Adventure Lender. He and I have been hanging out for years, and I'm such a fan.
Yep.
Dude, he's got a Sprinter van office.
It's so good. I'm somewhat jealous. Yeah, it's so good.
Right?
Yeah.
So okay. So with all of that said, you guys, we are fired up to have you here today. Just a little heads up, because you're in the mortgage industry and you know what happens when something comes in out of left field and you have to adapt to it, right? Like you got to pivot. Well, I got one of those today where I've been called into a meeting that I have to be a part of in 26 minutes. So this will be a power session today, and we're going to come at you hot and heavy, you guys, with a lot of content quickly, because frankly, that's how Keith operates. And I made coffee today by pouring Red Bull through the coffee maker instead of water so that I can stay up with Keith. I think that was probably a good plan.
Okay, good stage set. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, where are we going?
Well, here's the thing, man. I want to talk to people about lead generation, because Keith, I can remember coaching sessions early on, where we were talking about, like, I remember you first stepping into a real estate office, right, where you were going to be the in-house lender there. I remember you starting to use Pipedrive when you were starting to kind of track leads and lead conversion. And here's what we know, and everybody's kind of sick of hearing this, but you got to kind of say it. Sure. Thanks for that, Jody. Appreciate that. Make sure you have chat open there, Keith, so you can see what's going on over there. We have come out of, I don't know, let's call it since 2010, a relatively low rate environment, a friendly mortgage environment where you guys competed with people who got into the business because it was like easy money. It was like lay down money.
I mean, like, let's just get it the way it is. I think a lot of loan officers right now are realizing how easy the last 10 years have been.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, it's a shift.
For sure. Now, that doesn't mean, loan manufacturing wasn't difficult and putting files together, and, you still had your total cost
earned our money, but it was different.
For sure. It was very different. And so now we got to go get it. And so that's why when I was first talking to Don and Gino about this and thinking about who I was going to interview and what that would look like, you were actually the first one that came to mind, because I knew that you would bring the fire. You're welcome. And you are always about bringing innovation, new ways to approach things. And so, Keith, let's just riff a little bit. Like, what are you doing right now? Specifically, I want to ask you about what you're doing with first-time homebuyer events and with first-time investor events. Would you just roll with that a little bit for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start really quickly with something, and this is something I'm hearing a lot right now. And it has me concerned. And you hit this on the head where you said it a little bit differently yesterday and kind of our pre-call, but is that it doesn't really matter what's on your business card, mortgage advisor, loan originator, whatever it is, we're in sales. Like that we are in sales.
Sure.
Now, I think what's happening sometimes is loan officers today are saying, I'm not a salesperson. And the problem is that they have this image of a salesperson in their mind, and we need to replace that image and understand that we are absolutely in outbound sales, right? We have to be picking up the phone and reaching out and talking to people. I love this, and I kind of start this in a lot of meetings with this, but a loan officer has 3 jobs. Our first job is to make it rain, number one. Number two is to build and maintain referral relationships. And then number three is to manage and build your ops team. But number one is to make it rain. Like, that is our job. If we are not making it rain, if we're not bringing loans in, we're worthless. I mean, really, we're a drag on a company and really what's happening if we are not bringing files in. So, and now in this market,
look at Keith bringing truth, you guys. Like, I'm the old salty gray-haired coach, right? I'm like, hey, I don't care what you call yourself, you're in sales, but here comes Keith, like, bringing the heat and truth and saying, I don't care what you call it, but at the end of the day, we have to create opportunities right now. So, brother, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And so now it's, before I think it was 50% effort and 150% result. And it's absolutely opposite. It's 150% effort for maybe, if you're lucky, 50% of the results. And so we just have to lean in a massive way. And there's a few things that we're doing right now. One is what you talked about, first-time home buyer and wealth building events. So, what I find with real estate agents is most real estate agents want to do a first-time home buyer event. They want to do a wealth building event, but that barrier weight of entry is like the pressure of putting one on, spending 40 to 60% of your time to try to create this event and put the content together, and then maybe have 2 people show up and it sucks.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did is, and it was a little bit like an offensive defensive strategy, because I sit in a real estate office with 400 agents and another competing loan officer.
Right. And are you guys all taking that in? He's inside a real estate office with 400 realtors and a competing loan officer with another company. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, what I did is I just said, hey, look, here's the deal. Let me help you in this space. They all want to do it. So what I did is I created all the branding for them, right? So I created an Instagram thing, a Facebook thing, a flyer for them. We did kind of a video about it, but
this is all in Canva, right? Other than the video,
all done in Canva. Yep, very simple. Yep. Nothing crazy flashy, but it's presented to them as their first time homebuyer event. Cool. So then they get to go push this out through social media. They push this out, on their email distribution lists, and whenever they're talking to somebody, they have an event that they can invite them to. And the beauty is the pressure is removed. If they're involved, all they have to do is commit to bringing 2 people. And so and then I teach the class. I do the content. I give everybody a book. If it's the first time homebuyer event, they get a first time homebuyer book. I buy the pizza. I teach the class. And the first 2 classes, we just started doing this. So it's, but the first 2 classes we've done, we've had over 25 attendees show up, like individual couples. And it's been amazing. And it's opening doors for agents that I really hadn't had an opportunity to work with. They're now reaching out to me to saying, Keith, when's the next one? Which is really cool.
Nice.
And, really nice guy that works in this thing with me. I hope he's not watching this call, but
I love this story. Come on.
But he did it in such a way, like he was kind of doing the same thing, but it was done poorly and it was just a drop in. And I've come in and really like owned it. I went all in on it, and he's kind of stopped marketing the whole thing. So, like I said, it was a defensive, offensive strategy, and he's not done it anymore.
So you guys, you got to hear me on this. Like I hear you, and I love what you're saying, and I love that you're giving him grace. And you could have been that guy on any other moment in your career, but at this moment, what just happened is he let off the gas. And Keith flew around him. He floored it and flew around him, and he's about to lap him. And it's because he was all in, right? I hope you guys know that's the name of my podcast. We should be hanging out there, because this is all in season. Ed Milet, by the way, you guys, in his most recent podcast, hope you listen to his stuff. I know he's a little disarming physically. When you look at him, it's like, didn't I see him in Guardians of the Galaxy? Just sort of, right? He's
300,
little overjacked. Yeah, but whatever. Yes. He's brilliant. And he said, December, you guys were looking at December. He said, December is the time for holidays, not a holla month. And what he means by that is come on, we just had Thanksgiving. We're going to have Christmas. We're going to have New Year's. Cool. Take those days off. But the rest of them, lean in. This is not the year to take a 14-day vacation. It's not. Take the week between Christmas and New Year's. I get it for most of you, but listen to what Keith is doing there. He's leaning in while most people are saying, I think I'm going to stay home and watch Elf tonight, and I'm going to make some barbecue and maybe some hot chocolate. And it's the season. It's cool. Yeah. Enjoy it on the days, but don't enjoy it for the whole month. So Keith, well done there, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely time to lean in. So, I mean, For me, what's really working is events. I have 4 events that I'm teaching this month, and they're all events either to real estate agents or to clients, and it's it's a one-to-many concept. I think the other thing that's really working is we just got to pick up the phone and make outbound phone calls. And so one of the things our company has done is we created kind of a coaching. I don't know, a 12-week, what is it, a 12-week kind of coaching thing? And one of the things, boot camp. And one of the things that we're doing is we're taking a day for an hour where on virtual, on Zoom with screens on, we're just doing a power hour and making phone calls. And it's been great and a lot of success. There's been a lot of really cool conversation and had people who have never done this before, which boggles my mind, like in the mortgage industry, and you've never dedicated an hour and literally just called, right? Annual mortgage reviews, happy birthday calls, anniversary calls, whatever it is, checking in with the people. I started doing this with my sales group, right? We did one today. I had 4 people on the call, and we made, I think, 53 phone calls in 50 minutes, and had 20 some odd meaningful phone conversations. So we've got to find ways to really lean in and pick up the phone and talk to our customers, because I think about this, right? So like our clients, and this is the big block, like, I don't want to hear from you. They absolutely do. If you bring in value, because I wonder if when we don't follow up with our customers, maybe they start thinking like, was it just about the sale? I think even specifically with real estate agents, right? The real estate agent takes all this time, develops this relationships, puts people in their car, shows them the property. They laugh, they cry, they talk about money, they plan their life, right? And they feel like they developed this friend. And then all of a sudden it closes and they never hear from their friend. And then they start wondering, maybe like, was it actually a friendship and not just about the real estate sale? So we have to be following up with our people, and they do want to hear from us.
So let me just chime in here on a couple of things. One, this is something you can do as you're watching this, whether it's you as an individual loan officer, if you're a branch manager, if you're a leader. Like, if you're not doing this, jump into what Keith just described. All we're doing is creating the environment where we are equipping our LOs on conversation starters. Like, when we started this, it was the week before Thanksgiving. So it was literally just saying, hey, it's been a while. It's been so crazy with rates low. Just wanted to reach out. Thanksgiving is a cool, special time. Traditions beginning around the family. Just wanted to reach out to you, find out if anything else has been going on in your life I should be aware of, any way that I can serve you, any life events, just door openers, right? To be able to get into the conversation. We do that for 15 minutes, then we jump on the call. And as Keith said, to have all of that open, we happen to do it on Teams. But I'm watching all these people. They're all muted. They're all on the phone. So they've either got AirPods in or they're holding a phone. I think a couple might have had headsets, like, old school telemarketers. But you could just see everybody making calls. And then we come back on. It's like, okay, so what happened? Share the results. You guys, please hear this from me. The magic of this, Keith, is when people start coming back, and as you said, they're talking about, well, actually, I just spoke to someone and they've got, an ill family member, and they're talking about building an ADU in the backyard and they need a rental loan. Cool. We're talking to somebody who actually I had somebody tell me this on my call. I called a guy. He was previewing property as a customer with his son. Coincidentally, like, this is amazing. You would call right now. We actually don't like this house, but we do need a good realtor. Wow, I've got a fantastic realtor for you. And by the way, I can obviously help you with the loan on this next one. It's just conversation after conversation after conversation. So if you just think about it this way in terms of lead gen, in my mind right now, it's step into the uncomfortable, which is making outbound calls, look for opportunities to hear what's happening at their end, because everybody's got something going on, you guys. If my wife and I were just talking about this last night, Keith, you never know. We hear this all the time, but you never really know what's happening in somebody's life. And if you just make the call and you step in, my husband just died. We've got a kid that's starting college. Both kids have left the house now. We're thinking about maybe smaller, but we don't really know how we'd step into that. Every single one of those provides an opportunity for you as a loan originator to be able to step in and say, you know what, let me send you something. I've got an article, I've got an infographic, I've got a similar situation, whatever it is. They go into your database, which could simply be your phone, by the way, email or a text, if this is somebody you've never spoken to before. But if they're in your database already, you just make the note and set a reminder, right, Keith? Like, make the note, set a follow-up reminder. So you build this kind of flywheel rhythm to the contact.
Yeah, I think, I was having an interesting conversation yesterday, actually, with Kyle Draper. We were having dinner last night, and he brought this little story up to me. Yeah, he brought this story up to me, and I'm going to use this a lot moving forward. I'm using it right now. I'm trying to make this quick. So he brings up this story. There's it's an Old Testament kind of story about a famine. There's this famine happening, and it hasn't rained in like forever. And they're praying for rain, and they've been praying for rain for years. And this prophet comes through the village and says, "You're not ready. You're praying for rain, but you're not ready." And they're like, what do you mean? And he says, "You have no place to store this rain when it comes. If what you're asking for comes, you aren't prepared for it." And I think about that as the mortgage space today is we have, I hear this, what is it? Survive to 20. I hate that, right? Survive to 25,
please,
right? It's
take
terrible.
it away. Yeah.
Terrible. But there's so many people that are saying, "Hey, I'm just this next run. We're just waiting for interest rates to drop. I'm just waiting for that to occur," right? But I would argue to say that most of them are not ready even when it comes,
for sure,
because they are not in touch with the people today. They're going to take advantage of the lower interest rates tomorrow when those come, because all those call centers that got shut down are just going to start right back up.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be all over your customers with new technology to steal them from us. So that's another thing. We're talking about lead generation today. There are things that I didn't write handwritten cards the last 2 or 3 years. I'm freaking writing handwritten cards. Like these are things that I should have been, right? But these are all things that we need to be doing right now. But if you don't have a detailed CRM in place, you're not doing your annual mortgage reviews, you're calling on your birthdays, and you're checking with your customers on a regular 30, 60, 90-day standpoint, when what you hope happens actually does happen, you're not going to capitalize on the opportunity in front of you because you're not ready. So I think everybody needs to be investing in a CRM in some form or fashion right now. And I know that seems so basic, but I talk to so many loan officers that are working off a spreadsheet, and that's just not going to work.
For sure.
But if we were going to lean into that, it's actually really easy. Just take your closed loans from November of 2020, 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, and just call them and just check in.
Exactly. I'm going to go. Finish your thought. Sorry.
No. I'm good. Go. We got to go fast on this.
Well, I just want to add one. I just dropped into chat here. It's a very simple document. Go ahead and just open that up. It's 5 questions. I just heard this morning, Keith, I've got an elite mastermind coaching group like you do and inside our organization. And these are 5 of our best, actually 6 of our top people. And every 2 weeks we get on a call, and it's just always magic, when you're sharing great ideas. And one of the guys said, "Hey, I just sent out," actually, it wasn't him, it was somebody that works for him. He said, "I sent this card out via email." So just make sure you've got this open here. Think about this, you guys. If you sent this to your database, full name, what do you think today's average rate is for a 30-year fixed mortgage? Do you need access to home equity for debt consolidation, home improvement, or a down payment for a new home? Are you thinking of buying a primary, secondary investment property in the next 1 to 2 years? Lastly, who do you know that should be a new homeowner, including families that need a 0 down payment loan with name, address, and phone? Thank you for that. And so it's a super simple document. But here, let me tell you the results. He sent it to 750 people in his database and got 72 responses back. 72 leads, Keith, like boom, right now, I want to have a conversation. He incented it with a $250 Amazon gift card. So for $250, you send this out for free. You know the math on your database. You tell me, one of the guys on my call said, "Dude, I've got 4,000 people on my database. If I get an 8% return, that's ridiculous. Like all of a sudden we're busy, like rates drop to 5. So you guys, it's make the calls, send the mailers. I laughed when they told me this because I said, I have to tell you, man, we were doing this in the 80s with a frozen turkey as an incentive. Like, everything old is new again, right? It's like, come on, man, we need to be mixing it up right now and adding more plug wires. One of the things that Wally Elabiari talks about, and I hope you guys follow him, even if you can't spell his last name. Wally
book
wrote
is really good, by the way. If you want to buy that book, you want to buy a good book for the holidays, buy 24/7 Mindset. I picked it up. I'm like halfway through it. That's a really good mortgage book.
It is really solid. Let me just tell you quickly, because Wally is a master of lead gen. So he's talking about working 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, and he lives that. Like he lives that. I was in Dallas with him 2 months ago, spoke to his group. I see what he's doing there. But one of the things that he talks about is like, what is your 6-lane highway? And what he means by that is, what are the various different pillars of business that you have where leads are coming from? So the pillars that you had before might have been, I answered the phone, I had a group of 27 realtors, and life was good. But right now you might be saying, you know what, I need a financial planner, I need an insurance agent, I need to be working my database, I need to be in dialogue with them. Keith, I want to make sure everybody hears from you the way that you work social with your, is it now 10, 10, 10, or what is it right now?
I'm stepping that up here, but yeah, 10, 10, 10 is kind of the starter point. There is 10, it's 10, the problem with social is the desk roll, right? And so, we get into it and we think we think that we're working and we're not. We need to keep the social and social, if you will. So it's 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 direct messages. And then I switch over to Facebook and do the same thing. But I mean, there's so much opportunity on social media. We just don't jump after. I just landed. I was having a coffee appointment with somebody who said, "Oh, I know somebody that's following you." And so I sent a message to the person that was following me. She's a real estate agent here in Nashville. She's actually very successful. I said, "I just had coffee with so-and-so." Like, I don't even know him. She just followed me on social media. "I just had coffee with so-and-so. He mentioned you had some great things to say. I thought I would just reach out. How's this crazy real estate market treating you?" Dude. We just start having a communication on Instagram DMs, and now we have an appointment in 2 weeks to have a cup of coffee. Like, the problem is we're not utilizing social media. We're not being intentional in it, right? Like, we are not showing genuine interest in another person on social media, connecting, communicating, and then asking. Like, ask to have coffee.
So I want to share something. This is from you, Keith. So what I just put in there, just, you guys know the drill here on Zoom. We're going to be gone here in 7 minutes. When there's a link, open it up in a separate browser window so you've got it right once the call is done. But this is what I learned from Keith. There's a way to set up Facebook lists so that you can go in tactically and look at just your realtors or just your financial planners. It's a little bit manual. It's not like perfectly automated, but it is a way to get away from the cat videos from the person that you went to college with. Like, I don't care about that right now. And it's a way for you to be very deliberate about it. So I would say that. And then Sonia, if it's possible for you to drop into chat, you've got Wally's book. Would you please put Forget Everything You Know About Social Media by Kyle Draper in there? Because I think, to Keith's point, Kyle has written a book, you guys. It's the first book that I could honestly point to and say, this guy is just being real about the way to utilize, particularly in sales, the way to utilize, thank you so much for that, the way to utilize social media. His point to you would be, think of it this way, you guys. I wrote the foreword for the book, so I'm kind of familiar with it. If you had a party and you invited the realtor over, and that realtor came in with a stack of like property flyers on their latest listing and said, "Hey, have I told you about 123 Easy Street? Hey, I got a new listing on 123 Easy Street." You'd never invite them back. Like, you would never invite them back. So why do we show up on social like that? Why are we showing up talking about 10-year treasury and bond programs? And I mean, there's a moment for that, but just be you. One of the cool things about Keith on social is you'll begin to see what he's passionate about, what he's experiencing day in, day out, right, with borrowers and with realtors. But you'll also see him talking about his kids, his wife, his property, the things he values, what matters to him. It's what makes you believable, Keith. And I'll bet on more than one occasion, you've had people say to you who you've never met, "I feel like I know you."
They'll ask me like, "Hey, how's tractor time doing?" And I'm like,
right.
It's that, and that's only in my stories. I got a really cool blue tractor and I like to ride it around. Right. So if we were to jump into this and 100%, I want to give something super tactical here. So Instagram actually maybe recently changed the algorithm, which is kind of cool. So if you're actually in the Instagram app, top left-hand corner, it says Instagram, there's a drop down. Well, if you click that drop down, it actually says following in favorites, and you're allowed up to 50 people that you can put into your favorites in Instagram. And so this is one of the things that I do. Here's the problem. Again, like, how do I know that the people that I want to see when I go in and start scrolling are the people I want to see? Like, I only have 15 minutes to go in there and have meaningful conversations and engage. Well, if you put people in your favorites, and then you go in and click the favorites, it resorts your entire feed to just those 50 people. And then you can go in and comment, like, share, and DM. And then, so what I do is I have a list of agents every month.
So I could have all the Kardashians there.
Perfect. Exactly.
Okay.
You
Just
could
wanted to
totally
make
do
sure.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
So I have
Bad
50
idea.
agents that I'm constantly talking and like managing through, right? And I look at the end of the month, I say, okay, in my on time is who needs some love this month and who am I targeting? And so I go into my favorites and I just reorganize that list. And I just make sure throughout the month, I'm if I only have time to engage, I'm seeing those people. And all you do is literally
Nice.
click a button and it completely resorts your feed to just
Brilliant.
those 50 people.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's a new one for me, dude. That's money. I've just made notes on that, so I'm super excited about it. Dude, what one more thing as we think about lead gen right now, you think about your business, where your time is being well spent, where you're starting to see some traction or ROI. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on?
I think that the loan officer of the future also has to have a component of self lead gen.
Yeah.
I think the loan officer that is fully relied on real estate agents to provide opportunities is not going to work. And I think that if we have those 6-lane highways or your business pillars, I think a business pillar has to be something that is generating opportunity for you directly from the consumer, not from a third-party business to business, not from a financial planner, not from a CPA, not from a real estate agent. And so the one thing that we're doing, and I don't know if I have the time to really dive into it, but is 100 strong. I set up a nonprofit, 100 guys get together, 100 very amazing men get together once a quarter, 3 local grassroots charities pitch. We each bring $100 and we give away $10,000 a quarter. We give away $40,000 a year. And it's really easy to build. It's really easy to work. And I'm hanging out once a quarter with 100 amazing, influential businessmen in the community. And that's generating awesome engagement, opportunity, community. I think we are all searching for a community of really, like, I look left, I look right. These are all amazing people I want to be with. But it's also opportunity for the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And, so
and the amazing thing about
right now.
The amazing thing about our focus at Movement Mortgage is Keith now has the opportunity to match every dollar that he raises. The Movement Foundation will match that up to $25,000 a year. So it just creates a different value proposition that's community related, it's connected, and it just helps Keith to hang out with the group he wants to hang with, make a contribution, do something different. So you guys, I have to bail. Keith, if you can hang on a couple of minutes, it looks like that request is out there. That would be cool. If you can't, you can't. I want to say this to you, though, you guys. Thank you for being with us today. I hope that you have already registered. You're here because you've already registered for the event where we're all going to be, Momentum Builder 2024, in February the 20th through the 24th. There it is, Park MGM Las Vegas, non-smoking. Come on, if I'm going to go to Vegas, it's got to be a non-smoking property. And it's much more like individual TED Talks with environments where you can hang out with the speaker afterwards. This is not a typical, we're just going to come at you and try and sell you a bunch of stuff. We want to bring you value and content, you guys. So you see the lineup, it's pretty doggone stellar. I am fairly certain we're going to see Keith Collins there next year. And Keith, dude, you're a rock star.
I think this
thing's you so much.
Yeah, if I were to just prep this, I think what's really cool about this, as other in difference from other events, is I'm a seminar junkie. I go to an event, someone unpacks an idea, and Bill, you can run, but someone unpacks an idea, on stage, and in a room of 500, 1,000 people, I can't raise my hand and say, wait a minute, I got like 3 questions. Because what you said, I think, is really applicable to me. You can't do that, and then you got to go chase the speaker down. But with this event, my understanding is there's actually going to be Q&A with the speakers that you can have like while they're on stage. And so I think that is a really unique pivot to this that I think is pretty cool. So if you can make it, I do think that everything that I'm hearing from this event is something that really hasn't been done yet in the mortgage space, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I don't see any additional questions in here. I'm going to run if we don't, and I don't.
Thank you, Keith. And you are correct. Most of the speakers are going to be doing a brief 15 to 20 minute, what we're calling a TED Talk. And then afterwards, the attendees are going to be able to submit questions for them to answer while they're on stage.
Awesome. I think it's a great unique spin to an event, and I think that's going to bring a lot of value to people. So I'm excited to see it.
So for those of you who came in a couple minutes late, Bill had to hop off early because he had to be called into something. I know we went a little fast today, so if you don't have it, download the app, the recording of this will be available for free for 1 week, and then all the recordings of all our webinars are available to premium members after that first week is over. And next week we have Scott oh wow, that logo's huge, sorry. We have Scott Harris from Experience.com. He's going to be going over search rank scores. And then the week after that is Kristen Messerly. She just very recently co-founded First Home IQ with Dave Savage and Todd Bookspan. They're a nonprofit, and their goal is to teach the younger generation who is gearing up to become homeowners about buying a home. So thank you for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next week.